If there's one interview question that rankles the feathers of more job seekers and some employers, it's probably, what are your top strengths and weaknesses? While this question has fallen out of favor for many interviewers, some still stand by it and ask it of nearly every candidate. As a job seeker, sharing the wrong response can put you in a predicament since you don't want to show any weakness or brag too much about yourself. On the flip side, providing a great response can help you land an offer. How do you determine what to say to leave a positive, lasting impression? Some interview questions are asked with sincere interest and a desire to get to know you better. Others are positioned as a trap or test. The question about your strengths and weaknesses can fall into either of these categories, depending on the person with whom you're interviewing. The trap comes when you haven't prepared your responses and share something that will hinder your chances of moving forward. There's nothing worse than saying your biggest weakness is a key talent they need in this role. The sincere question is posed to gain insight into your self-knowledge, awareness of what you might need to improve, and your ability to be humble. Your well-thought-out answer also tells the hiring committee if your strengths and weaknesses match those of the current team. Balance is a good thing, and no one person can have everything. Remember, interviews typically last 20 to 60 minutes. During that brief time, hiring managers are trying to determine if you're worth investing their time and money in over the next few years. And since it can cost an average of $4,000 to bring on a new employee, they take their decision-making process seriously. The first thing you don't want to do when asked this question is to sidestep it. That can come across as overconfidence or a lack of self-awareness, both of which are turnoffs to employers. Knowing that you have to say something, avoid talking about challenges with past supervisors or colleagues. It's never good to throw anyone under the bus in an interview, even if you couldn't stand a previous position, company, or coworker. After all, you're going to be working with people at this new company, and if you have issues with interpersonal communication or relationships, that's a big red flag. Interviews can be challenging, and they're only made easier through preparation and practice. As you move through your job search, you should be practicing a variety of responses to questions you'll be asked so they become second nature. For the question, what are your top strengths and weaknesses, you want to be genuine and engaging. Some hints to do that include, it can be all too easy to answer the question about your strengths and weaknesses with 1 or 2 words, but then you're not providing context with your response. You could say your strength is that you're a great leader, or that your weakness is that you're not as technically savvy as you feel you should be. But taken on their own, they're not really saying very much. When you frame your response, share a brief story that highlights how you've been able to leverage your strength or how you've worked to overcome a weakness. If possible, incorporate an accomplishment from your career journey. Refer to the written version of this lesson for some examples. While it would be ideal to be able to walk into an interview with pre-crafted responses when asked about your strengths and weaknesses, the best way to answer this question is to tailor it around the job you're applying for. If, for instance, you have determined that your weakness is your inability to delegate, that won't work well in a position that requires you to oversee a team of people you'll be delegating tasks to. There's no doubt that preparation is key to answer this interview question. Therefore, have a few options at the ready. Review the job description in your interview prep and choose strengths and weaknesses that play into what the company is looking for. Interviewing for a director of IT role? Maybe your strength is being collaborative with your team, while a weakness is that you can get into the weeds too much in solving challenges. To prepare yourself for answering this question, make a list of some of your strengths. Not sure where to begin? These potential strengths may help. Big picture thinking, leadership abilities, collaborative, detail-oriented, creative, passionate, analytical, strong work ethic, integrity, innovative. If none of these feel right, ask family and friends what they see as your professional strengths. Are you good with people? A stellar sales leader, someone who can solve any problem. You'll find a few that work for you. Once you have some strengths that fit you, make notes of how you've exercised these strengths, an accomplishment in your career history that highlights them, and how they'll benefit a company moving forward. Before your job interview, review the position overview and see how you can share your strengths in a way that makes you an asset. When it comes to weaknesses, frame them in a way that shows that you're aware and working on it. Here are some ideas to get you started. Perfectionist, self-critical, disorganized, competitive, lacking in a skill that is not pertinent to success in this role, minimal experience, too focused, not focused enough on the details, inability to delegate. As with your strengths, develop a list of where you could use a little more finesse professionally. Craft stories about how you faced a challenge that went up against your weakness, yet you were able to pivot and be successful. In preparation for your interview, identify some weaknesses that won't hinder your ability to perform in that role, and be ready to humbly share them. What are your top strengths and weaknesses? Is a question you should be prepared to answer at some stage in your interview process. To provide a strong response, understand why employers ask this question. Know what not to focus on in your response. Use storytelling to answer the question. Tie your answer in with what the job description asks for. Choose strengths and weaknesses that fit you and don't remove you from what the position is seeking. The best way to succeed in an interview is to prepare and practice your responses. Knowing the value you can provide and where you might need a little help to find success will help interviewers learn more about you and how you can benefit their organization. Going through the process of identifying how to answer the question, what are your top strengths and weaknesses, will also likely build your confidence about why you're the right fit for this role. And with practice, you'll be ready to easily share that value in an interview so you can secure an offer.